Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Well, today is a very exciting day. Weather couldn't be better, and it's fitting the mood of what we're announcing here today. You know, in a way, I think today is answering a big question. We know that Greater Cleveland can do great things, and we know that we have done great things downtown. And the big question, really, for the whole community was it just going to be a brief moment in time where we were getting things done and building things, or were things going to keep going? And were we going to have the next step and the next step, and we're going to see projected out in the future of Greater Cleveland things continuing to happen? And today's announcement is, it's not just an answer, it's a resounding answer to that. And the answer is yes. And today we're making, along with my friend Mayor Jackson, we're making a very important announcement. The projects that we're talking about today, they're not just ideas, they're not just plans, they're not something that's it's a concept. We're talking about a timeline, we're talking about an action agenda of getting projects done. It would not have been possible, by the way, without Mayor Jackson's leadership and also the support of the business community and also a whole variety of partners. We're not going to have to wonder anymore about if things are going to happen. We're going to be able to lay out a timeline for you today about when the plans that have been made are actually going to be executed. First of all, and really when you talk about the scale and scope of this, we're talking about a plan that is not just in one particular spot. We're talking about something that really goes from the front door of the casino all the way to the water's edge. That's what's exciting about that. That's what's really transformational about this project. So let me talk about a few of the aspects of it. First of all, we're announcing that the County Administration Building site, which is behind me, is going to be transformed into a convention hotel, which is going to be a major flagship hotel. It's going to be operated by a major flagship hotel chain, and we're containing at least a minimum of 600 rooms, which would be the largest hotel in Greater Cleveland. Just that particular part of the project is a $260 million project. It's going to be funded without any new taxes. What has made it possible is the fact that the project that we see here over my right shoulder, the Convention Center and the Global Center for Health and Innovation, has been done both ahead of schedule and under budget. And through good fiscal management, we have managed to accrue a pretty sizable surplus. And we're plowing that surplus back into development in this whole area. That's what's making it possible. The hotel project is going to include approximately 2,800 workers on the construction jobs, on the construction project itself, and between 450 and 500 full-time jobs once the hotel is operational. We've already briefed our county council on this, and we're hopeful that if we get a speedy approval that we will be able to complete the hotel in the spring of 2016. You can see here a rendering of the hotel here to my left. It's going to be approximately a 20-story hotel. Now, having a convention hotel means that is connected to our convention center is so important. And as the folks from Positively Cleveland, Dave Gilbert and his staff can tell you, they've been working very hard to bring conventions and meetings to Cleveland, and they have been very successful, but they're going to be able to bring even more once this convention center hotel is completed, because it makes us competitive for a whole range of conventions that right now that we can't compete for. Now, once you consider that we have a state-of-the-art convention center, which is going to be opening next week, and you add the convention center hotel to it, that's when you really put yourself in a whole different category in terms of being an attraction for conventions nationwide. What we're here telling you is when you put all these things together, we're really ready to compete on a national and a global stage. We've already had some of the greatest assets that any city could ask for, and we can just look around and see them. But what this whole project is going to do is it's going to connect everything. And I'm going to turn it over at this point to Mayor Jackson. He's going to talk a little bit more about the portions of the plan besides the Convention Center Hotel that are going to connect this whole district from Public Square to the lakefront. which has been a lifelong aspiration for many, many people, and we're seeing it happen. And it couldn't have happened without the partnership and the leadership of Mayor Frank Jackson. Mayor?
Well, good morning, good morning. You know, the best plan you have is the one you're doing. And that is what this is. This is an action plan. This is our ability now to implement plans that we have developed over the last few years that will connect, as the county executive said, a unified public square, a reprogrammed mall, and the lakefront with a pedestrian bridge. And as we have just this Monday put in a Tiger Grant application for the pedestrian bridge, and we submitted our RFQ for developers to look at the lakefront as and the opportunity to develop the lakefront according to our lakefront plan. This initiative today that the county executive is announcing really moves that ahead and makes it a better guarantee that we can do those things and do it now. His willingness to put the kind of resources that he is putting into this hotel really is a catalyst to bring all of these things together. We are also looking at, as I've talked to the county administrator, the county executive, as to how do we use this as a community benefits initiative as we worked out with the building trades. And he talked about the jobs that will be created in construction and the permanent jobs that will be created at the construction just on the hotel. This does not count those jobs that would be created in terms of the group plan at the mall, the public square, the pedestrian bridge, and the entire lakefront. This gives us ability to move Cleveland into the next phase. As we have positioned Cleveland to do things, this gives us that ability to do it. So I want to thank the county executive for his willingness and his courage of investing the kind of money that he will be investing along with the city of Cleveland in this hotel, the group plan that will include the malls, the public square, and the pedestrian bridge as we develop our lakefront. So any questions?
Sure. Let me just, before we take any questions, I just want to underline just how really great the timing is of these things coming together. Because it's not just this project, it's the fact that, as the mayor mentioned, just on Monday, both the city and the county and the Port Authority jointly applied for federal funding to help us with this bridge that's going to connect this area to the lakefront. And also just on Monday, the city released its RFP for development in this portion of the lakefront that's here behind us as well. So all of these things are happening at the same time. So if you just imagine this for a second, what you're going to see by 2016 is as you come out of Tower City, you're going to see a completely reconfigured and redesigned green space that's going to be Public Square. And as you head north, you're not just going to see totally activated and redone malls and more active mall space, but you're also going to see, and not just a fantastic convention center, but you're going to see an absolutely state-of-the-art convention center hotel. And then as you continue to go further north, there's going to be a bridge that connects all these assets to the Rock Hall and to the Science Center and to everything that we have going on at the lakefront. So for the first time, really in the history of the city, we are fulfilling this dream of connecting the lakefront to the life of the city. And we already have a lot of energy and vibrancy that's happening downtown just with what we have. So when you think about everything that we have and everything that we've seen happening here and the vitality that you've seen in the last few years, just think about what it's going to be like when this plan happens. And yes, we're asking for federal funding, but we're able to fund this with our own resources as well, because between a city and we've got, the specific details about where different portions of the money are coming from, but a portion of it's coming from the county, a portion of it from things like bed tax or from the city's help, and a portion of it will come from the private sector. And this is exactly the kind of partnership that I think people have been waiting for. And it's a kind of thing that, let me put it this way, the people that were pessimistic and naysayers about what this community could do, those folks are getting quieter and quieter and quieter. And the people that believed in this city, we're getting stronger every single day. And it's not just a hope, it's reality. We're talking about putting out RFPs and starting construction this year. This stuff is happening quicker than people have ever seen the public sector move in this part of the state, and it's something really to be proud of. Questions?
So you can say with absolute certainty that everything that's on the dance card here will happen.
I believe every single thing will happen. Now, some of the numbers are estimates, but as our kind of project leader on this effort stated, he's never seen a public project that has this much solid funding. So yeah, there's some things at the margins that may change, but we're not dependent on those variables for the whole thing to go forward.
And as you know, everything that happens in Cleveland that really has substance to it is a real community process and a real community partnership. You have the public sector, the county and the city. You have the private sector who has committed. It is just a matter of them finding the source of where they're going to bring their money from. We're talking to the foundations. We have the trade unions who have worked with us on a community benefits agreement to ensure that we just don't spend money that does not go to the direct benefit of the people in the city and the county, both in contracting and in jobs. So it has come together in a way that as a community has come together to make it happen. There's no faction that really is opposed. Everyone is looking to how can they participate and make this happen. That is what will better guarantee success here, and that it is a real plan, the one that you're doing, not just one that you're thinking about.
The decision for the county to act as a developer for the hotel is sort of unusual. Why would you decide to go with that rather than?
Makes sense.
Well, we kind of started this whole process by looking at how are these types of projects managed across the country. And there are times when either a city or a county is the developer, and there are times when all of that is kind of farmed out. And we haven't actually decided completely on what the governance model of this whole project will be. We'll probably decide that in the coming weeks. We'll have discussions with county council about that. But sometimes when you farm all of those functions out to the private sector, there's advantages and disadvantages to that, because what you end up doing is you end up paying development fees. So that's a discussion we're having, but it could go either way right now.
Do you have any hotel? You had this building up for sale.
Yes.
Did you have any hotel companies express real interest and bring their own idea to the table about it?
The closest that we had when this property, if you look at the roots of how this happened, there are really two great kind of threads of thought that kind of came together at the same time to make this happen. One is the planning that the mayor has led, having to do with the lakefront and the group plan, and those discussions have been going on for years. The other thing that intersected with that made this possible was that we were looking at our own properties. We went through this whole property consolidation process that included this building. And yes, we did get some offers, but they were not offers that were going to build a hotel anytime in the near future. So people said, well, we'll take the property and maybe we'll put a parking garage there or something like that, and then maybe someday there will be a hotel there. And as the mayor and I both like to say, look, when somebody says, well, I'll take your property and then maybe someday I'll do what you want with it, that's a risk that I wasn't willing to take. So we turned down some of those offers because they were pretty speculative, Tom, to be honest with you.
Does that give you pause at all, the fact that the private sector
No.
didn't see the same degree of opportunity that you apparently
No,
do?
because if you look across the country, when you make a convention center hotel happen, the private sector just doesn't come to you and say, here, I've got an idea for your convention center hotel. It doesn't work that way. It's a partnership. So you've got to put out the public financing portion of it in order for it to make it happen. Well, basically without exception across the country. Every time it takes some public leadership to say, here are the pieces of the public financing in order to make this happen. And then you have to see if the private sector has an interest in it. And I can tell you we've had discussions with the private sector, and there is a lot of interest, and I don't have any doubt that we're going to get a major flagship hotel to be located there. Yes, yes, ma'am.
No details on the brand of the hotel yet.
No, but I can tell you we've talked to basically all of the major hotel chains, and we're getting a lot of interest. And it's not whether they're interested. I think they'll end up being a competition between the hotel chains. I'm pretty confident about that.
Okay. And this entire project, the bridge, the redesigned public square, and the hotel is all set to be completed by the spring of 2016?
Well, I don't know if every single the hotel, the opening date, the estimated opening date for the hotel would be in the spring of 2016. There might be portions of some of the infrastructure that isn't quite done by then. That depends, but I would say around that time period, I think that's reasonable. The other thing, by the way, that this positions us very well in is there are some major conventions that are coming up that I think the city will be in a position to compete for, like the Republican National Convention or Democratic National Convention. We've already been a finalist for those things without the advantage of a convention center hotel. When you add that into the mix, I think there's going to be a lot of possibilities for us to be a really strong competitor for that kind of thing in 2016. So the timing is good.
At this point, has there been a collective decision by the city yet to go for one or both conventions?
No.
We're
Well,
talking about it.
we're talking about it. We're talking about it. I mean, look, we're awfully early to be doing that. There's a whole formal bid process, and the mayor and I have discussed that. Look, whether that happens or not, we'll be in a position, if we decide to do that, we'll be in a stronger position than we would have been. It's not the reason for this project, it's just the timing. If we do go down that road together, we'll be in a better position to do it.
And you're confident that this entire project will be funded without any additional taxes?
I sure am. I sure am. I'm very confident about it. Very confident about
Say
it.
that one more time in a simple declarative sentence. No new.
Yes.
Using sales tax revenue to help fund this project, would that be jeopardy at all by the state's pending decision to alter county sales tax?
No. No.
This is money that's already in.
This is money that's already, yeah. It's not going to be affected by the changes in that. Well, actually, you know, the governor's sales tax plan, I'm not sure what elements of that, if any, are going to be implemented anyway, but it wouldn't have affected it in any way.
So, Mayor, does this mean that your overall lakefront plan, you put out an RFP, I know it jumped over yesterday, is this now moving at a faster timeline than people perceive? I know the governor's coming tomorrow to talk about the transition with the state parks. I mean, collectively speaking, is the lakefront project moving faster than public perception now?
Well, the lakefront project in our RFP, that's moving, and it moved in the time period we thought it would move. What this does is give that the more likelihood that people will have a greater interest because it's something real, as opposed to just, well, what do you think about the lakefront and becoming the developer of the lakefront. Now what they see with the Tiger Grant application, the private sector, public sector, for the bridge and for the hotel, the malls are completed, public square, we're looking at the financing of that. People will now see that this is something that is going to happen, and I believe it shows to developers that they are more likely to be successful, and it creates more interest for those who want to be developers in the lakefront.
So it should stimulate more proposals, you believe?
Yeah, it's a catalyst. It's a catalyst because it's again, the best plan you have is the one you're doing, not the one you're talking about. And this is a doing plan. We are implementing the plan. The malls are completed basically. Now the enhancement of the malls are part of what we will talk about going forward. Public Square, there's the interest there, and that will happen. The bridge will happen. It's essential for us to be successful across the board to have the pedestrian bridge. It will happen.
How confident are you that the Tiger Grant will be
Well, there's somebody else making the decision, so I mean, how confident can you be relying on somebody else? Our point is that we're going to do the bridge. Now, it will be helpful to us if I think $17.5 million we're asking for from the federal government. If that came through, then that would make it happen in a less burdensome way, but it's going to happen.
You know, the only thing I'd add to that is with there have been other applications for this grant. This is certainly the strongest application for several reasons. Number one is it's a joint application between the city and the county and the port. And that's important when the federal government scores grants. That's important. Number two is they're always looking for the matching local money, and it's there. It's already in the plan. The third thing that I would just mention is we're not looking for a special earmark from Congress. We're not looking for all of a sudden Congress to become more functional than it is. This is money that already exists within the budget. Somebody is going to get that money. And I think we've got a great application, and I also think you're going to see a pretty unprecedented lobbying effort by the mayor and myself and other local elected officials to say that this is something that it makes sense for the federal government to step up and help us with.